he comes back to life, as an ant. A pitiful, newborn ant worker, fresh from the egg. He can barely scrape the earth. Around him, monstrous beasts loom, colossal and ravenous, ready to devour him the instant he moves. He has no choice but to flee. He hopes to grow strong enough to face them later. Just moments ago, he was human. Here's how he turned ant. Awakening, he scrambles to grasp his bizarre new world. He's dead, plain and simple. The last thing Anthony recalls, lounging at home, book in hand. Now he drifts in an endless white void. If this is heaven, where's the all-you-can-eat buffet with a pool? A system ping warns, he'll soon awaken in a new world. His guide? None other than Gandalf himself. Gandalf declares Anthony reborn in the magical realm of Pangera. There, destiny and luck will shape his fate. He receives solid starting stats on paper. He's hoping to be as strong as the MC of his favorite game. His skill sheet now reads, dig, acid shot, grip, and bite. Even more shocking, his species tag marks him a hatchling ant worker. Anthony can't wrap his head around being reborn as an ant. With 0 mana, any sorcerer dreams vanish. Gandalf owes him an explanation. The skill list is bizarre. A simple bite and a bizarre acid shot. Where are his overpowered MC abilities? The worst part? He's classified as a newborn ant worker, a formica. Not only an ant, but a freshly hatched worker. Maybe Gandalf's punishing a past misdeed. But that's absurd. He barely knew anyone in his previous life. His empty inbox and crippling introversion reminded him he had no real connections. Gandalf urged him onward, forge your own destiny. If his destiny truly is an ant's path, even Gandalf can't forge a different mother. Caught off guard, a gruff voice counted down the soul transfer. 3, 2, 1, and silence swallowed the world. Soul transfer complete. The hatching protocol boots up. Anthony's body contorts, squeezed from all sides, trembling as the rebirth kicks in. He still doubts the earlier prompts, but the truth hits. He's being reborn as an ant. 6 legs, 2 antennae, razor-sharp mandibles, and anatomy confirmed. 3 body segments stretch from head to abdomen. Once a keeper of ants, now he's one. Pitch black darkness engulfs him, vision blurred as if a moonless night. After a few steps, a faint blue glow pierces the gloom. Colors return, sparking curiosity about his new powers. He taps his ant anatomy, letting his antennae probe the darkness, picking up strange scents and shifting air. A stale, earthy odor tells him he's underground, but no pheromones, no colony. Determined not to be alone, he follows a faint, familiar scent, hoping a companion awaits. He chases the pulsing blue glow, praying it leads to a friendly ant. Excitement surges as he nears the exit, eager to join a fellow ant in service of the colony. But the tunnel's end holds a shocking surprise. His would-be ally hangs helplessly, suspended midair. A monstrous, scale-clad beast looms, teeth bared, muscles rippling. A nightmare for tiny Anthony. With the ant incapacitated, the reptile feasts, crunching savagely. It tears the ant apart piece by piece before swallowing. Panic surged. Anthony was just a book-loving ant enthusiast, never signed up for this nightmare. He couldn't deny it any longer. This grotesque reality, ants devoured by monsters, was now his world. The trapped ant's pleading gaze jolted him awake. What could a lone ant possibly do? One desperate thought flashed through his mind. He had only one option: sprint on his 6 newborn legs as if his life depended on it, because it did. His first sprint was a clumsy scramble. He stumbled, landing face first in the dirt. After a frantic dash, he should have cleared the beast's domain, but another monster could appear at any moment. Survival meant shedding humanity and thinking like an ant. Instinct took over. Dig! He dug with every ounce of strength, but his legs merely scratched the earth. Knowing isn't the same as doing. Anthony recalled his pet ants digging with mandibles, realizing he must tunnel using his own jaws. He plunged his sturdy mandible into the gritty soil and began gnawing away. In seconds his facial digging outpaced minutes of leg burrowing. He tunneled down to a suitable depth and carved out a roomy spherical chamber. With a fresh burrow secured, Anthony the ant could finally recline, safe for now, but any predator would be fatal. How had he reached this spot so soon? He'd faced the monster before day's end, yet newborn ants belong in a protected colony. The fate of his fallen companion in the reptile's lair shows how chaotic things have become. He may not be alone in this abyss, suggesting a larger raid is underway. Then he remembered Gandalf's system mentioning a skill point and biomass. Anthony's new world is a mystery. Its downfall granted great gains, but the cost is forgotten. Back to his dilemma. Anthony has 1 skill point and 1 biomass. He must spend them wisely, so he tries a game-style UI, raising his legs and shouting, "Level up!" It fails spectacularly, leaving him looking downright foolish. A new idea sparks. Maybe this will work. He swipes at empty air and bellows, "Status open!" Success. A text prompt appears, showing his stats, though he can't tell if they're high or low. In the skills tab, grip catches his eye, likely a talent for solid holding. The description reads, grip lets you cling to any surface, even walking through walls. Anthony's eyes light up, believing Gandalf the system, his bearded, benevolent savior, has finally spoken. Until a better title emerges, we'll call this guiding voice Gandalf. Anthony reveres the name, grateful for the priceless gift of instant, mind-linked intel. Scanning his skill tree, Anthony realized the choice mattered: acid blast or upgraded digging? Gandalf may guide, but Anthony alone must master his new powers. Since only certain ants spit formic acid, he must be one of those lethal breeds. Acid gives him range, strike from afar and dodge instant annihilation. Yet, in his dire spot, biting, crawling, digging, or spitting acid aren't his top priorities. His biggest weakness? Knowledge. He still doesn't know the world or its lurking beasts beyond ants and crocobeasts. Confident he can't speak, Anthony must rely on his own senses in the tunnels. Venturing solo amid unknown horrors would be sheer madness. Even imagining surface killers makes his antennae tremble. He forced his panic into calm. Only a clear mind can keep him alive. Boosted by a self-pep talk, Anthony steels himself. Alone now, base skill set, just one skill point left to allocate. The real question, how to spend it. Suddenly, Gandalf's disembodied voice prompts him to assign the point. He praises the wise system voice, hoping Gandalf, beacon of hope, stays forever fluffy. With countless options, logic becomes his only guide. Speed aids escape, tunnel sense eases navigation, bite and acid boost offense. Biomass upgrades include exoskeleton, mandibles, legs, eyes, antennae, and acid gland. He's arguably the weakest creature in these tunnels. He upgrades his eyes with the biomass point, and invests his skill point in stealth, sharpening his concealment. The upgrade ignites his eyes, a searing blaze scorching his corneas. The agony feels like Gandalf's betrayal. Anthony thrashes, trying to outrun the burning pain. When calm returned, he realized body upgrades weren't as painful as expected, something a human would have endured forever. Now equipped with solid countermeasures, his confidence soars. He scrambles out of the tunnel, eager to explore. His sight sharpens, but the air remains scentless and vibration-free. Facing two routes, he dismisses the right, where a beast devoured ants, leaving only the left. He turns left, ready for whatever lies ahead. The frantic ant fades. Confident, Anthony steps forward. He darts forward, his speed surprisingly swift. Anthony chuckles internally as the adventure flows flawlessly. Logic says hanging upside down boosts stealth and grip. Now his upgraded eyes reveal faint, twisting blue veins in the rock. His sharpened sight now reveals his own body, and he knows his soft, newborn exoskeleton will soon harden. He crawls onward, bursting into a blinding light at the tunnel's end. The glow emanates from blue veins and a massive underground reservoir, but monstrous predators loom nearby. Mesmerized by the water, he nearly missed the lurking beasts. Being the weakest, a single sighting means death. Stealth becomes his lifeline and intel tool. His new ant eyes, a far cry from human vision, leave him disoriented. Static objects are nearly invisible. Ants thrive in swarms. A lone ant suffers per senses, making his solitary plight miserable. Alone, he must survive even the risk of stumbling over a sleeping dragon with his poor sight. Determined, he vows to sharpen his eyes until he can spot a cockroach twitching 5 meters through stone. Clad in a fresh red exoskeleton, Anthony scans the cliff over the pool, only to be assaulted by eerie, surrounding roars. He scrambles up the wall, racing toward the source, inching closer with every desperate grip. Even with sharpened vision, the exact origin remains elusive. Pulsing blue veins crisscross the rock, blurring his focus. Dripping from the ceiling, the water's source finally reveals itself. Yet the strange noises aren't coming from the pool. He must sharpen his focus. Something else lurks unseen. Common sense eludes him as the clues fail to click. The source? The lurking monsters themselves. Perched safely above, he watches the wolf-like beast snarling below. Spotting the dog's gaze sliding toward him, he dove behind a jutting rock, far too close for comfort. Time to test his new ability. Anthony activated his freshly unlocked stealth mode. His crimson exoskeleton flickered invisible, pure sickening cool. Now concealed, he could finally study the mysterious pool undisturbed. He'd already glimpsed the snarling wolf lizard that nearly caught him. Next on his list, the ultimate foe that massacred his colony. The dreaded crocobeast, homewrecker, and brood snatcher. Yet as he surveyed the monster lineup, something felt off. None were fighting each other. It was as if a secret pact existed, perhaps a great monster peace treaty he missed. He realized staying still would yield no answers. Getting closer to the action was his only option. Yet he reminded himself that slow and steady still wins the race. Descending from the ceiling took minutes. If ants could sweat, his body would be drenched enough to fill another pool in this cavern. The effort paid off. Stealth active upgraded to level 2. He covered a long stretch to reach the heart of the chaos. His suspicion proved right. Repeated use pushes skills to higher tiers. Hiding and observing let him kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Gather intel while training stealth. Confidence surged, but he snapped back. Overconfidence would get him killed if spotted. Calm, he edged close enough to glimpse the next wave of monsters tangled near the water, their forms obscured. Up close, he faced countless red eyes, blue pincers, and endless legs. Anthony gagged at the centipede's grotesque anatomy. He cursed the dungeon's vile sights, begging for a dose of meds. The lizard monster seemed harmless, but its spikes still posed a danger. still the weakest of the lot. Yet Anthony imagined turning these monsters into a bounty of biomass. Every point in the world waited for him. First, he needed meticulous preparation. For hours he hovered over the pool, shifting stealthily, tracking each creature's movements after they left the water. In Hour 1, the centipedes and croca beast exited together. Hour 2, the wolf lizards fled toward a southern tunnel. By Hour 3, the spiky lizard slithered to a wall and vanished. Looks like another wall dweller, Anthony's own kind, if he weren't forced to hunt for prey. That covert surveillance pushed his stealth to level 3. Patience paid off just as his battered ant claws needed relief. Reaching his exit, home was now only a single dig away. Anthony longs for rest, but duty forces him onward. He needs more space in his nest, time to dig. With powerful mandibles he tears into the earth. Instinct drives him to scoop and secure the soil. Reaching digging level 2 triggers a triumphant chime, nest secured. After a frantic dig he pauses, stomach growling like an empty fridge. Hunger hits hard. He tells his growling gut to hold. Tomorrow he'll hunt his first prey. A spiky quarry already lurks in his thoughts. Daybreak finds Anthony clinging to the cavern ceiling, claws biting cold stone, one thought echoing. His hunger makes him drool at the monsters below. Hunger gnaws at him, sapping his strength and shaking his resolve. Craving memories of chocolate, bread, cake, and steak from his former life flood his thoughts. Starvation warps his mind, turning reality into illusion. The crocobeast's last glinted like a juicy slab, tempting him to plunge from the ceiling. Even the vile centipedes now resemble steaming noodles on a golden tray. He must curb his appetite before a reckless bite seals his fate. He's stalled his plan long enough. His growling stomach can't hold him back. 2 relentless days of scouting have mapped every corner of the cavern's end. Sleep-deprived and famished, he teeters on the brink, nearly slipping into the water while hanging overhead. He knows a plunge into that dark pool would be a miserable swim. Pushing his spy limits unlocked stealth level 4, while non-stop digging upgraded his burrow skill to level 3. That's Anthony, always preparing, always growing, turning weakness into a weapon against the strong. But hunger remains a brutal foe. He can only hope his first kill comes soon. His antennae quiver as the target draws near. The beast's foul stench hits his senses. A flash of reptilian eyes in a crevice tells him the hunt is about to begin. His prey uses the cavern wall as a perch, descending daily for a drink from the pool. An isolated, predictable monster, ripe for the taking. Minutes later, the spiky lizard emerges for its routine sip. Now it's time to see if Anthony's prep pays off with a flawless strike. Stealth engaged, he glides along the ceiling, closing in on the reptilian quarry. He tells his growling gut the feast is imminent, just align the perfect strike. The lizard's razor spikes loom. A single sting would be disastrous. Fear has no place. His mind must stay sharp. His stomach depends on it. All his preparation leaves no room for hesitation. The timing of his pounce decides everything. When the ideal spot appears, Anthony strikes without hesitation. From the shadows, he rains acid onto the lizard's leg. Inside, Anthony revels. Phase 1 succeeded as the lizard howls, its leg melted to bone. Seeing its attacker, the lizard triggers Phase 2. He jeers, asking if it truly wants to duel on the wall, courting certain death. With his grip now at level 3 from relentless espionage, neither wall nor lizard can phase Anthony. His lithe, lightweight frame outmatches the beast's bulk, even as acid sears his feet, making wall maneuvers a blur. Blinded by fury, the brute thrashed its massive tail, trying to fling Anthony off. The tail's violent smash shattered the cavern wall, forcing Anthony to leap from his perch. Still, his plan unfolds flawlessly, as if toying with prey. He fires his next acid blast straight at the lizard's snout. Another searing wound sends the creature writhing in agony. He darts across the crumbling walls, securing a safer, superior position. The lizard's howl of pain reverberates across the pool. That's his signal to finish fast. No other beast can spoil his orchestration. Weakened by the corrosive wounds, the lizard slows, inching toward its inevitable end. Just before its power drained, the lizard unleashed a final tail swipe. The surprise lunge caught Anthony off guard, exceeding his expectations. Luckily, a split second of distance let him scramble to dodge. The lizard's wasted strike left Anthony the perfect opening for a final blow. He vaulted from the ceiling, mandibles poised to clamp down. A brutal crunch echoed by the pool as he clung tightly. Phase 3 had begun. Now a test of grit. He kept biting, forcing the lizard to tumble off the wall while the beast absorbed the fall. When the creature finally lay still, he muttered, "That's the law, food is food." He sprayed acid across its carcass, melting the hardened hide. The acid surged to level 2, a rapid power-up. He scans the prey, still alive, so the next step will be brutal. A harsh reality for both hunter and hunted. Anthony tears into the dying lizard, splattering blood and gut as bone-crunching sounds echo. 10 minutes later, his bike hit level 3, sealing the gruesome task. Fueled by the feast, Anthony feels like a victorious daredevil. He came, he saw, he devoured. He realizes he's never pushed himself this hard before. His past was a blur of numbness. Defeating a level 2 Spinetta Lacertos grants him level 2, a skill point, and a flood of notifications. The creature is a Spinetta Lacertos, a Latin-sounding name. He's no stranger to Latin. His species is classified as Formica. Remembering his ant-keeping hobby, he notes that Formica is the Latin term for wood ants, knowledge that'll prove useful in a world where every creature bears a Latin name. That realization leads to 3 crucial insights about his situation. First, defeating foes grants experience and raises his level. Second, each level up awards a precious skill point to spend. Third, since the Spinetta Lacertos was a level 2 monster, the lizard either started at level 2 or has already leveled once. More importantly, he can't lose sight of his mission, claim the praised body to boost his own power. As a predator, he must devour the strong and the weak to grow. Anthony appreciated the bounty, but the lizard's flesh was anything but tasty. It was so foul it made him gag and vomit. Now that he's fed on this fresh biomass, he earns a skill point, while Gandalf continues his endless chatter. Lying in the cavern, his rumbling stomach turned into thunderous burps, he's set for at least a week of meals. Beyond a full belly, Gandalf rewards him with an extra harvest. Now he retreats to his nest, scheming his next move. From the cavern's rim, Anthony watches the creatures obsess over the pool, oblivious to a missing neighbor. After minutes of scurrying, he finally reaches his modest nest. He snaps his fingers like a mastermind, ready to plot his next scheme. Quick status check, stats unchanged, but his skills have surged dramatically. He feels like a lone ant on an epic quest, soaring with newfound growth. Even as destiny crashes around him and chaos erupts, he will prevail. Defying the odds, he will survive no matter how stacked the odds are against him. Enough daydreaming, it's time to snap back to reality. He shakes his head, left to right. Anthony zeroes in on the moment, facing a crucial, careful decision. With just 2 biomass points left, every choice matters. His eyes fix on the same spot. He craves a +2 vision upgrade for that blessed light. Gandalf offers 2 biomass points for a level up, and Anthony accepts instantly. The searing burn of the upgrade is unbearable. He despises it. Tears stream from his eyes, but the agony finally subsides. His sight remains poorer than a human's, yet it's enough for now. 1 skill point remains, and he already knows which ability to claim. The new skill, Tunnel Sense, arrives. After days trapped, he remains clueless about this cursed realm. With countless unknowns, Tunnel Sense could be his lifeline. The ability expands his reach, letting him venture beyond comfort, while still tethered to his soul sanctuary, the nest. Gandalf asked, and Anthony grinned, instantly agreeing. Gaining the skill hurt like a searing burn, yet felt like cool water rushing through his mind. Moments later, Gandalf confirmed, Tunnel Sense acquired. Now he hopes it will prove its worth on his next foray. He piles cavern leaves into a makeshift bed, earning a well-deserved nap before his next trek. As he sleeps, distant human footsteps draw near. 2 human silhouettes push through a thick forest, clutching a lone lantern. When she asked if he'd seen anything, he brushed it off, just his mind playing tricks. And wherever they go, any monster daring to attack will get a rude awakening. Now his hunger gone, Anthony floated on cloud 9. It felt so perfect he wanted to stay forever. But the dream paradise shattered as he was jolted awake. He rolled out of his nest, face planted on the hard ground. Looking back, he should have known, dreams that perfect are never real. Still, it sharpened his resolve. Stop chasing fantasies, start mapping his next hunt. Anthony snickered slyly. Before the grind, he had another plan. He shaped his antennae into a heart, whispered unlock, in his mind like a magical girl. When it failed, he shouted the command, access profile. He considered Gandalf's open sesame trick from the movies, but dismissed it as useless. After devouring the lizard, Gandalf said a basic Spinetta Lacertos profile was unlocked, yet the right keyword eluded him. Realizing he'd overthought it, he slipped from the nest ceiling, hit the floor with a superhero landing, and bellowed the lizard's Latin name. To his surprise, the profile opened instantly, Gandalf's support paying off. Spinetta Lacertos means thorn lizard, a creature bristling with venom-laden spines. After all his effort, all he learned was that single, underwhelming fact, utterly disappointing. Anthony steadies himself. The data is only a basic profile, after all. Maybe the system upgrades with each kill. More of the same species could unlock deeper, richer data. He shelves the issue for now, focusing on the urgent mission ahead. He glides across the ceiling, humming, as he returns to scout the pool. Another day, another monster to hunt. Back in his nest after the feast, everything seems unchanged, except his newly sharpened double vision. The pool beneath now glows a shade brighter than before. What puzzles him is the pool's water. Despite dodging the croc beast, surviving days without a drop, and feasting on lizard meat, he never feels thirst. All the cavern dwellers flock to the pool, yet this ant monster feels no thirst. What sets him apart from the others? Armed with those questions, Anthony knows his next move. He darts down from the ceiling, ready to probe the pool's mystery and survive. The descent is perilous, so he proceeds with caution. Even confronting the looming centipede, he reminds himself to pace his advance. He notes the swamp teems with reptilian foes, bipedal croc beasts, spiked lizards, perhaps a hidden pattern. Lost in thought, he didn't see the wolf lizard charging at him. Just as it lunged, the creature hesitated and backed off, baffling the ant. Glancing back, he realized the wolf lizard feared the towering centipede, sparing Anthony. The centipede tribe, massive, crimson-eyed mutants, slithered toward the lone ant. Their inaction confirmed his theory, and he thanked the gods for the insight. You may wonder why a survival-savvy ant would expose himself in the pool now. There's only one reason. After countless observations, he's never seen any creature attacked while drinking or leaving the pool. It's a neutral zone. Though lizard disputes flare up, the battles always stay outside the pool's perimeter. Thus the water must hold a unique power that restrains the monsters, far beyond mere thirst. Curiosity drives him forward, but he has no intention of drinking the pool's water. Anthony steadied himself, shut his eyes, and plunged his face into the pool's mysterious water. Instantly he leapt out, rolling as the liquid seared his tongue. The few drops he swallowed ignited a fire inside, like gulping straight hydrochloric acid. Is this why countless creatures flock here daily, just to endure this scorching death water? He wondered, feeling like a masochist in a cavern of monsters. Yet beyond the burn, nothing else changed. The lingering sense of a missing clue persisted. He'd expected a dramatic reaction from the pool that obsessed the monsters, but it left him untouched. No effect at all. Having completed his test, he turned to explore the cavern's deeper reaches. But before moving on, he couldn't resist one more sip. He sucked greedily, filling his tiny body to the brim. The burn returned, forcing him to roll and spit the liquid out in sheer agony. He spat out the pool's bitter water, vowing never to sip it again. With the pool's secret probed, he sets out to chart the cavern using his fresh tunnel sense. Guided by his new sense, he follows the densest veins of light. A distant scent hits him, sparking doubts about what other beasts hide in the tunnels. Lost in thought, he stumbles onto a familiar sight. It's a man-crafted staircase, slicing the vertical gap into steps. Scanning the stairs, Anthony spots the same winding blue lines. Driven by curiosity, he descends, marveling at rock-carved steps adorned with intricate designs. Who could have hewed stones so precisely? Only humans could craft such work, the first proof of humanoids in this realm. He wonders what kind of fantastical folk inhabit these depths. Anthony imagined rescuing the dwarves from a looming threat, or perhaps meeting the ageless, radiant elves. Whatever he faced, the intrigue grew. Halfway down the stairs he wondered why humans carved them here and not elsewhere. For a self-declared genius, the answer was obvious. This tunnel must be a main route, so they smoothed the climb, meaning more stairs likely lie nearby. Maybe a passage leads to the surface, a way out of this perilous cavern. That hope spurred him forward, no turning back now. As he descended, he realized the stairs were far more valuable than he thought. He'd never considered using them as a measuring tool. Assuming locals match his world's proportions, he could gauge his size against each step. Crunching the math, Anthony saw he was about a meter tall, meaning those monstrous pool dwellers were actually modest in size. To Anthony, they loom like towering giants ready to crush any foe. Yet a human would size them as ordinary beasts, no larger than familiar wildlife. He wonders, are these creatures merely weak, tutorial-level foes? The thought chills him. If these are feeble, what horrors await deeper down? Choosing caution, he abandons the perilous stairs, steps onto another level, and spots torches flickering on the walls. Each step reveals more civilization. The surface may be nearer than imagined. Deeper in, the glowing veins fade, and though the darkness suits his stealth, an uneasy feeling lingers. His heart thunders against his ribs, a storm of fear and excitement. The chance of meeting another world's inhabitant thrills him. What will they look like? What magic do they wield? Could they belong to a guild? And can he communicate through signs or dance? His mind races, already picturing a monumental bridge between ants and humans. He knew humans rarely trap a mind inside a monster. He might be the first. The deeper he went, the tighter and steeper the cavern grew. Soon a blinding flash washed over his blurred vision. He glanced up to a ceiling fissure, sunlight pouring in, his first taste of the sun. He thanked the holy light for its gift, realizing the surface was nearer than he thought. In the opposite direction, more lights beckoned ahead. More human work must lie ahead, and he soon spotted a half-open wooden door. Its layout suggested a guardroom deep within the dungeon. Yet the strangest sight was a red glow spilling from the guardroom's window. The light pulsed in rhythm with the scurrying footsteps beyond. Who would have thought they were real humans, clad in light armor and wielding a strange glowing device? Anthony stared, stunned by their gadget that seemed to sense monsters, essential in these pitch-black tunnels. As the woman held the device, the man summoned a magical glow from both hands. Watching it unfold felt like a dream. Anthony realized it was true magic, thanking Gandalf for this world and hoping they'd teach him a spell. While his mind raced with possibilities, the man aimed his luminous arms straight at Anthony. That red crystal was meant to detect monsters, so it's active now. He'd forgotten he, too, was a monster in this moment. A spell locked onto him. Anthony was marked as prey. This wasn't the plan. He'd slipped up, and now his only choice is to flee like a bug. Run, Anthony! He begs for mercy, but his voice is silenced. A loose rock sends him sprawling. He wishes to shout he's just a harmless ant, but a mana fireball closes in. The blast grazes him. His legs ache, mind urging forward while his body protests. Trapped, more fireballs rain down, He summons every ounce of will, dashing behind columns. Cover fails, an arrow whistles toward his gut. To survive, he needs a distraction and a clear escape route. Navigating the maze with his tunnel sense, he stumbles into a passage reeking of death. Cornered by the humans, he unleashes a two-way acid blast at each, only buying a fleeting pause. Their retaliation was another arrow flying straight at him. Anthony's reflexes sharpened, he ducked, and the arrow whistled past. His fragile truce between humans and ant monster crumbled into smoke. Fireballs homed in on the lone ant like relentless missiles. After sprinting blindly, he slammed into a jutting rock. Blessed by Gandalf, he slipped into a narrow tunnel and caught his breath. Realizing his blunder, he berated himself for the careless move. He'd forgotten he's no longer human. His new 1-meter ant form now defines every interaction. From the tunnel's end, a menacing hiss echoed. He may have slipped, but he must snap back into action now. Anthony must decide, confront the hissing centipedes ahead or dodge the humans' fireballs behind. When the fire-wielding man thrust his head into the tunnel, fate seemed already chosen. Anthony slammed on the gas, sprinting as fresh fireballs coalesced in the man's grasp. He vanished into the gloom just before the spell could strike. Guided by tunnel sense, he raced toward the nearby centipede swarm, plotting to use them as bait for the humans. Stealth cloaks him, keeping the writhing noodle-like monsters blind to his approach. He plans to spray acid to enrage the insects, knowing the next move will seal his destiny. Escaping the furious horde becomes a frantic race against time, and he doubts his chances. Deactivating stealth, he realizes there's no alternative, now or never, survive or perish. He angles his rear, unleashing a corrosive acid blast onto the centipede mass. His scattershot sprayed the centipede swarm, striking each beast with equal force. But the acid lacked the potency to pierce their tough exteriors. He didn't need to kill them, that wasn't his goal. Still, he succeeded. He enraged the centipedes, which now pursued the tiny ant with relentless legs. The clock started ticking. Minutes of frantic sprinting left Anthony breathless and tangled in chaos. Reaching the tunnel entrance felt endless. His stamina waned before the bait could be set. Near misses piled up as centipedes lunged, their jaws snapping inches from his skin. Spotting a glimmer ahead, Anthony found a second wind. Salvation lay just beyond the tunnel. Like a maddened insect, he burst from the cramped passage, evading the man poised to incinerate him. The man never imagined an oversized insect showdown, as the centipede horde surged out like a monstrous train. Anthony lands safely amid the chaos, his only goal now, escape. But a maddened beast now pursues him worldwide. Running won't help. He curls up, chanting desperately, "I don't want to die." Miraculously, the centipede monsters explode before reaching him. Who's blasting them? Humans beyond the tunnel hunt the ant. Anthony stays hidden, hoping this is his chance. He silently excuses himself, crawling cautiously through the battlefield. Stray centipedes spot him, giving chase like relentless pests. Distracted by the rear, he blunders into a human's outstretched leg. He scrambles back just as the spear arcs overhead. The spear misses him, striking the pursuing centipedes instead. Anthony once more credits Gandalf the system, grateful for the flawless, godlike luck that keeps pulling him from death. He'd worship the bearded wizard forever, if he weren't still drowning in danger. Luck can't outrun the twin threats, a human male guard and a relentless centipede beast. With a brief gap in the chaos, Anthony flicks on stealth, hunting the perfect hiding spot. He spots an open doorway, its darkness a godsend refuge, for now. Stealth and swift moves seal his concealment. From his doorway perch, he watches the human centipede war he ignited, guilt gnawing at him. Yet he has no choice, die by blade and spell, or unleash his monsters on the guards. Meanwhile, in tranquil Lyria, Commander Titus burns the midnight oil in his office. Stress etches deeper lines on his face. Reckless fools refuse to leave the dungeon to his legion. If it were up to Commander Titus, he'd be fighting in the dungeon non-stop instead of shackled to a candlelit office buried in paperwork. These days he spends his hours repeating orders to clueless idiots, far from the feel of his beloved blade. Frustration nearly split his desk in two, a wake-up call to step outside for a breath of fresh, mana-rich air. As he left the gloom, the forward garrison troops rose to salute their commander. Titus ignored them, striding straight through the corridors. Another massive door swung open, revealing immaculate soldiers at attention before their valiant leader. Everywhere he passed, work halted. He seemed like a deity among them. He pushed forward until a plain wooden door blocked his way, guarded by 2 armed sentries. Titus demanded a report from Tribune Aurelia, who quickly replied, 15 minutes ago a monster stormed the guard post, fled, and the team alerted the centurion before pressing deeper into the cavern. To the human guards, it was a hideous ant-like monster, something that deserved to be incinerated with the fiercest fire, and cleaved by the sharpest blade. Titus noted the odd report. The monster hadn't charged, it fled. He spun toward the plain wooden door, startling Tribune Aurelia, and replied he was heading to the suppression mission himself. The idea of a monster smart enough to retreat sparked Titus's curiosity. Beyond the door, guards still clashed with centipedes as mages hurled their fiercest fire spells. No matter how fierce the centipedes, mana proved unbeatable. Anthony scrambled for cover, trapped in the chaos with only his stealth to shield him. Anyone watching could see this wasn't a battle, it was pure slaughter. Anthony was helpless, unable to strike. He lacked any long-range mandible attack. In moments like this, he always turned to Gandalf for guidance. Instead of advice, a familiar hand, Human Anthony, delivered a sharp slap. He thanked Human Anthony for the urgent wake-up slap. This string of misadventures finally proved the questions he'd been pondering. It confirmed magic's real, revealed a human civilization, and exposed the massive power gap between his ant form and them. The biggest lesson: HP is king. After stone shards and fireballs, his health plummeted to a critical 15. At least now he knows the damage he'll take, but he must find a way to restore those lost hit points. He assumes HP will regen over time, yet he'll likely need to heal manually to survive. He can't waste the war's bounty, a battlefield strewn with endless corpses, some still sizzling in flames. Now he must seize the feast. A mountain of biomass awaits his devouring. Driven by primal hunger, he gorges on the stronger beasts, gaining mass with every bite, turning the buffet into a bountiful harvest. By the end, he's so stuffed he can barely move or breathe. He imagined a king-worthy banquet, Gandalf's vision, with perfectly cooked, mouth-watering centipedes. But the moment the meat hit his tongue, reality slammed him. It slid down his throat like a bitter truth. No doubt about it, those centipedes tasted utterly vile. The revulsion made Anthony gag and vomit, yet the biomass he gained outweighs the foul flavor. His royal feast revealed the praise stats: Unguibus scolopendra, strong claws and a venom-spiked tail, still useless data. Before spending his hard-earned biomass, he checked his stats. Skills and stats rose steadily. HP began to tick up, granting him 2 free biomass points. The Holy Book of the Path says the system lifts all, but only a united mortal race can reach its ultimate goal. Back in his cozy nest, Anthony finally let himself unwind after the chaos. He whispered a plea to Gandalf, begging for a calmer day. 2 goals now dominate his mind. First, boost his eyes to +3, just 1 more biomass away. To avoid mishaps, he decided moving his nest must follow immediately. Refreshed, Anthony sprang into action. Stepping out, he saw the human centipede war still blazing, his perfect day ignited. Undeterred, he slipped into the shadows, fleeing the inferno. Silently navigating the tunnels, he wondered why soldiers haunted this cursed ground. Their mission: wipe out every monster in sight. Arriving at the enchanted pool, Anthony discovered it swarmed with human soldiers. Gleaming tech and pulsing crystals floated on the water, dazzling him. He snapped out of all, focusing on survival, not spectacle. Each passing day pushes his hope of escaping alive farther out of reach. Sneaking past a battalion is delusional, and his nest could be raided at any moment. Realistically, only one option remains. Without upgrades, that choice guarantees a swift death, no ant coffin for him. His only grim path forward: retreat to his spawn, the Croca beast's lair. He bids a heartfelt farewell to the nest that sheltered his happiest moments. With comrades, that nest would have felt like a true home. Now's the chance to track down his birth nest and reunite with his ant brothers. Reuniting with the colony could make this harsh existence bearable. The beast that stole him likely hasn't strayed far from his original nest. He recalls the colony lies within one of 3 burrows near his spawn point. With optimism amid uncertainty, Anthony pushes onward. His mission: locate the queen and his ant brothers. He dreams of embracing his mother upon reunion. Leaving the pool, Anthony sprinted toward the light, noticing the cavern veins glowing brighter and pulsing faster, a bizarre spectacle. At the tunnel's edge, he eased his pace, scanning for hidden dangers. Seeing the open path ahead, he exhales in relief, clear for now. Anthony engaged tunnel sense, hunting the optimal route ahead. Charting these depths will steer him clear of the cursed surface and its human legions. Minutes of scouting sharpened his antennae, picking up a faint signal. Roughly 100 meters away, the air shifted with a distinct pulse. He zeroed in, channeling his antennae toward the source. So focused, he slammed his head against a wall. The trace pressed onward, splitting into 2 possible tunnels. Gandalf's whisper urged him to choose between them. A quick scan and gut feeling deemed both routes perilous. With no alternative, he sacrificed his biomass to upgrade his antennae for pinpoint accuracy. The upgrade scorched his eyes, sending him sprawling in agony. He cursed Gandalf for the brutal price of a slim survival edge. With sharpened senses, he detected a faint, hopeful scent on one path. That trail promised less instant death, making the choice obvious. After weighing his options, Anthony surged forward. His mantra now: slow and steady wins the race. Midway, his antennae sparked as triumph surged through him. He caught a pheromone trace, ant's breadcrumb for the colony. After endless solitude, his ant brothers finally beckon him home. Yet if he glimpsed what lies ahead, the celebration would fade. Silk webs littered the chamber, a patient predator waiting for unsuspecting prey. Anthony darts forward like a gust, chasing the faint pheromone trail of his kin. He's buzzing with hope, convinced the colony's beacon is summoning him home. Mid-journey he checks his stats. No room for recklessness, his HP is still below max. He presses on the unknown passage, hoping to snag a safer trail ahead. The tunnel grows erratic, jagging in chaotic, unpredictable angles. As the path devolves, the air's vibrations intensify. Something big is about to happen. He reaches a choke point where the tunnel explodes into a tangled maze, dizzying his sense of safety. Thanks to his cave running, Tunnel Sense hits level 2, sharpening his underground navigation, the ultimate compass in these winding depths. To back up Tunnel Sense, Anthony sketches simple symbols on the walls, marking his route for future reference. The toughest first choice, yet he instantly chose the right-hand tunnel. The path proved far less lucky than he'd hoped. It was short, and he burst into the clearing in moments. There, lizard-tailed rats feasted on the bones of their hapless victims. Anthony spun and butt on a dime, sprinting back to the prior chamber. He gulped air, plotting his next move after the failed attempt. At the rightmost entrance, he pondered a symbol that screams instant death. He scurried to the ceiling and slashed an X for clarity. He hoped these markings would guide him to a more manageable foothold. In the next tunnel he felt oddly safe, a comfort that could prove deadly. His instincts kept him on guard. As he scoured the cavern walls, a hidden, perfectly woven spiderweb flashed before his eyes. Without level 2 vision, he'd have stumbled straight into the trap. Charging into enemy territory would have sealed his fate. Anthony seethed. Those spiders act like insect monarchs, weaving deadly traps for their meals. To him, they're lazy parasites, letting their webs do all the work. He reveres the diligent worker ant as the ultimate honor. With 200 brothers at his command, he never flinched before a spider. His hatred for those web spinners is beyond words. He pushes forward to scout, crawling through webs that blanket the tunnel, yet the spider remains unseen. Proximity aside, intel comes first. It's the only way to chart the optimal route. Escaping the sticky mire, he slithered onto firmer ground where the traps thinned. With his mandibles, Anthony snapped a loose pebble from the floor. He wound up and hurled the pebble into the web, shattering the trap in a single thwack. Realizing stone throwing cleared the path, he kept flinging. Grabbing another pebble, Anthony refined his pitch, like a Shohei Ohtani of rock throwing. After carving a safe corridor, he sprinted forward, knowing the web's architect lurked nearby. The shattered strands would force the monster to reveal itself. Sure enough, the arachnid monster emerged, its hideous face exposed. It seemed to think lunch had finally arrived. One glance made Anthony ready to hurl at the grotesque creature. The creature's 8 fur-covered legs barely held up its bloated body. Unlike an ant's flawless 3 segments and 6 limbs, spiders are a grotesque aberration. Anthony knows spiders sit low on the food chain, roughly his size. This one might not be a true monster. If the many-legged beast stayed still, he could lock in a precise long-range shot. Wiggling his aim, Anthony waited until the last heartbeat for perfect accuracy. Calculating wind and distance, he spat acid, green slime splashing the hairy foe. The impact was felt instantly. Air and flesh hissed as the acid burned and melted them. Even with upgrades, his vision can't match a spider's. He relies on stealth, and his first shot fumbled, only singeing one leg. Afterward, Anthony shadow-stalked the oblivious spider, confident his tracking will draw it out. Stealth giving him a clear shot, he unleashed a confident second acid blast. The acid struck true, the spider's hiss swelling as it melted. He dropped stealth, taunting the beast to chase him. Only by luring it out could he strip its home court advantage. Even with his bravado, he trembled inside his carapace, grateful to reach safety before the spider caught up. If things go south, he could loop back to the wolf-lizard pack's lair, letting the spider and wolves battle while he watches from the shadows. In an ideal play, the wolves would instantly turn on the many-legged intruder as he slips away. Escaping through the den would be a flawless, silent victory. Luckily, his plan avoids any wild, unpredictable variables. The injured spider mirrors his caution. Why leave its web when it can wait for prey and heal after a meal? Anthony imagines himself as the spider, conjuring a domain where food walks straight to him. If victims get caught, he can harvest the free biomass. He curses spiders for being the dungeon's easy-mode enemies. His fury soars, and he knows the spider must die, now. A day after their clash, spite fuels him, but his calculations show the odds now favor him. First, the tunnel's strange brightness compensates for his modest +2 vision, making the spider easy to spot. Second, raw stats put them on equal footing, provided he strips the spider of its web advantage. With those edges, he can claim fresh biomass and soothe his raging heart, if he wins. Now, how does he coax the beast out of its web? Phase 1 is done. His 2 acid blasts yesterday shaved off roughly 5 HP. The safest hunt is to keep harassing the spider, ambushing it repeatedly until Anthony wins. One bite from its venom could spell disaster. Antennas lifted forward, eyes sharp, mind locked on the prey. Anthony moves. One slip could cost him everything. He soon reached the web-strewn corridor, scouting every inch, but finding no sign of its maker. Fortunately, a hidden clutch of spider eggs lay nearby. Cruel as it sounds, the eggs are the perfect bait to draw the creature out. Echoing yesterday's pebble trick, he flung spider eggs onto the web, hoping to bait the beast with full prey. He kept hurling until his nemesis finally emerged. With the final egg placed, he settled into watch. Crouched behind a rock, he kept the eggs in sight. Hours slipped by with no sign, Perhaps the spider grew too timid. He tossed the pebble into the egg cluster, then shifted to phase 2 as the old ruse failed. Now finesse, not force. He gathered tiny pebbles that wouldn't shatter the web. He laid the pebbles delicately along the strands, barely stirring them. The silent placement lets him slip past the web's barrier. Enough pebbles pave a covert path into the inner sanctum, unnoticed. With the silent gap created, Anthony slipped deeper into the spider's lair. Never before had he penetrated such uncharted ground, demanding razor-sharp caution. One momentary lapse could trap him forever, and that would be fatal. Minutes into his stealthy crawl, a chill warning surged. The spider was stalking him from behind. The careless predator waited for him to enter its arena, then foolishly struck from the shadows. Anthony forced his rear vent open, unleashing a final burst of corrosive acid. The strike landed perfectly. Now all that remained was to finish the job. With a scoffing laugh, he fled the web-laden chamber, hurling curses as he rode the wind like a fjord-born gale. He surged forward like a gazelle soaring over open plains. Overconfident, he tangled in a stray silk strand and plummeted mid-air. He stumbled, face planting hard and swearing at his own stupidity, fearing death before ever reaching his colony. Anthony burst into tears, realizing he's barely a month old, far too young to meet his end. A minute of sobbing passes, yet nothing dire unfolds. Fortunately, the stray thread snaps free with ease. Turning, he sees the massive spider sprawled, its abdomen still smoldering from his acid. He'd vastly overestimated the beast. Feasting on the creature provides Anthony a fresh biomass boost. It was merely a newborn spider monster, making Anthony a literal baby killer. He doubts even a bite will yield any biomass at all. He confesses his anger was misdirected. A few acid blasts already finished the insect. Deprived of recovery, its health plummets to 0 instantly. The kill barely boosted his experience. Surprisingly, devouring the new species netted him 2 biomass points. Calm and steady, he tore through the webs, and level 3 vision now feels within reach. With his sight no longer a death sentence, he can focus on upgrading his body. Perhaps he'll finally fight head-on without resorting to tricks. But he's getting ahead of himself. Wishful thinking won't cut it. Anthony must toughen up and grow into an adult ant. Earning EXP to level up is the obvious path. He needs a safe hunting ground, so he slips deeper into the winding tunnels, stealth engaged. Near the spider's nest, an odd sight catches his eye. A massive crater yawns, its depth unknown. Deeper means danger, so he'll postpone exploring this abyss. Save it for when his survival odds improve. After all, it may be his only path. With his upgraded antennae, Anthony probed the crater's depth, but the sensor plunged too far. He'd rather not chase a possibly dead end any deeper. Above, humans loom as a lethal threat, pinning him between 2 deadly choices. A true migraine of a dilemma. Knowing he'll have to examine every path, he backtracked to scout alternative tunnels. Circling the crater, he discovered branching tunnels. More routes, more monsters. Hours of wandering left Anthony doubting his own judgment. He realized he might be running in circles. The tunnel he chose simply looped back to his starting point. Along the way, he crossed several new species while hunting the correct route. In uncharted zones, he always scans the walls for usable sections. Satisfied with the wall stability, his mandibles carved a temporary nest for rest. This fresh burrow gives him a pocket of safety from the hostile world above. Rough and rushed as it is, it's far better than braving the open to endless threats. He dug a shallow, overhead nest with clear sight of the ground, instantly boosting his digging skill to level 4. Proudly, Anthony celebrated the upgrade. Though useless in combat, it proves real progress. Reflecting on his brief dungeon run, he's amazed at how far he's come from a tiny monster. Each close call sharpened his abilities, pushing his skill levels higher. Sure, he's still a frail fighter among the species, but his journey's just begun. To venture deeper into this alien terrain, he must rest and stay sharp. Anthony once raised insects. He knows ants never truly sleep. They simply enter torpor, a low-energy state that conserves stamina. He savored the illusion of closing his eyes, an echo of his old human reflex. A night's rest sharpened Anthony's mind, pushing him to peak performance. Now he pushes deeper, hunting a biomass point to sharpen his sight before testing upgrades on the rest of his body. He could boost legs, carapace, mandibles, or acid gland. Each upgrade would make hunting safer and smoother. Gaining kills EXP will level him up, inching him closer to true adult ant status. Stealth sits at level 3, stalking fresh monsters could push it higher. His first turn landed him in a familiar tunnel, mirroring the cavern he'd just left. He deliberately circled, positioning himself near the soldiers gathering. On the plus side, a rough mental map emerges, big main tunnels branching into random side passages. The main tunnels act as highways for top predators, while the side shafts hide weaker foes. One wrong turn already cost Anthony precious time. His day began in disaster. Armed with a clearer map, he chose a smarter path, hoping this tunnel hides his prize. Obsessed with fresh biomass, he barely noticed his tunnel sense had surged to level 3. Mapping with precision poured EXP into tunnel sense. Odd how the system reads his thoughts. Near his makeshift nest, he spotted 2 unfamiliar monsters. First, a 3-tailed rat, each tail ending in a lethal spike, pure nightmare. Second, a slug-like beast with a glossy body and neon spines, surely toxic. Both tower twice his size and scuttle up walls. Steering clear of their trails is wise. As he weighed his next target, a faint, sweet chime he'd been waiting for rang out. Growls and clashing claws erupted from the tunnel ahead. Fueled by opportunity, he surged forward like a shadowy fox. Gifted with a strange game-like system, he's determined to uncover its mechanics. He wonders, how does the system grant EXP when a monster falls? Is the XP split among all damage dealers, or reserved for the final blow? So far, no EXP pop-up appears in combat, only after the prey's death. That confirms XP drops only upon a foe's demise. To solve these questions, he'll run experiments. Today's perfect setup, a crocobeast battling a centipede swarm. Swearing on Gandalf's shining beard, Anthony loathes those infuriating centipedes. The crocobeast, however, looks ready to fight tooth and nail. He's already felled several of those vile creatures. The reptile watches keenly, ready to tear monsters apart, but the centipedes slip away too fast. From the front row, Anthony seizes the chance to jump into a battle he shouldn't be in. When a centipede falters, the crocobeast lunges. At the same moment, Anthony readies his strike, a heartbeat before the reptile could finish. He fires a thick acid blast, a critical hit that melts and cripples the centipede. The crippled prey becomes a perfect target for the crocobeast's savage bite. It clings on like a starving predator. But its bold, hungry strike leaves the crocobeast vulnerable. From his perch on the ceiling, Anthony watches the 3 remaining centipedes fan out, exploiting their comrades' fall. The first lunges, coiling around the reptile's throat and choking the life from it. The centipede's grip was too weak, turning what could have been a lethal strike into a miss. The reptile's tail swept it away. Realizing the tail is a weapon, the remaining 2 centipedes moved to neutralize it. They naively believed they could cripple the crocobeast's deadliest weapon. While the centipedes hogged the aggro, Anthony slipped an acid blast onto the beast's back, slowing the monster with burning and accumulated poison. Meanwhile, the acid-scorched centipede fled beyond the crocobeast's reach, forcing a defensive stance. Anthony watched, a smug grin spreading as if he were a puppeteer making monsters dance. For his third covert acid shot, he struck the weakened centipede once more. Normally he'd never be so reckless, but the centipede hunt was tipping toward victory, granting him the distance to intervene from afar. He doubts those freaks would abandon a feast for a mere ant. Though the crocobeast wanes under wounds and poison, the centipedes bide their time, waiting to deliver the final blow. They fall back whenever the reptile advances, its victim already on the brink of collapse. Still, the proud crocobeast claws at any insect it can drag to the grave. Gasping, it summons its last ounce of strength for a final surge. The clumsy strike aims for another kill, but the insects are ready to block. Draining its dwindling energy, the crocobeast closes in once more, fixating on the slowest centipede. Extending its claw to its limit, it snags the critter. But acid searing its back eats away the scales, the poison agony overwhelming. The once mighty beast collapses, its thud echoing through the cavern. Anthony's heart hammered as he steadied his aim, ready to unleash his final acid shot. With the centipedes inching toward their prize, the shot had to count. Greedy ants would have chased the crocobeast for max EXP. But Anthony played it smart, targeting the wounded, slowest centipede. He doubled the acid, making the many-legged creature convulse in lethal agony. True to form, the remaining centipedes ignored their dying mate, zeroing in on the dead reptile. Deprived of a share, they ripped the crocobeast's flesh, spilling blood everywhere. No system toast for the crocobeast kill confirmed, only the final blow nets EXP. Fortunately, his clean strike felled the level 3 clawed centipede. The hall flooded him with points, catapulting him to level 3 and unlocking a skill point. Though the crocobeast dealt most of the damage, Anthony pocketed the entire reward. After tallying his loot, he saw the remaining centipedes slither in to claim the spoils of their comrades. Anthony's biggest boost came from raising his stealth to level 5. He thanked the wise Gandalf for the bounty, praising his sagacity, glowing beard, and fierce eyebrows. Zooming out to the human realm, Albertin, lore master of Legiohem in Abyssy, Lyria, once chronicled the monster waves unleashed by the rending cataclysm. Today, lore master Albertin heads to a crucial royal council, escorted by Commander Titus, their banter hinting at a long-standing camaraderie. Albertin, visibly irked, scans the day's agenda with a sour expression. Titus admitted the summons. A formal call to arms before the entire court was orchestrated by Albertin's formidable aunt, a lore master he dreaded facing, yet he praised Albertin's growth into a brave legionary. Respectfully, he teased the old man to mind his words. Titus reminded him to address him properly. He's still a commander. They shared a chuckle, evidence of their deep history. At the gate of the scheduled meeting, they spotted a young man rushing out. He bowed to the 2 dignitaries. Then he guided them into the inner sanctum. When the doors swung open, tension rose. Bathed in sunset light, the hall brimmed with the realm's elite. At its end, a woman on an ornate throne greeted Commander Titus and Lore Master Albertin with grand fanfare. They strode solemnly toward the throne. Early arrivals murmured. A notorious figure turned, flashing them a wink. Titus glanced at the stoic Alberton and sighed. They bowed respectfully to the sovereign. She returned a warm smile, granting the legionaries permission to relax. Delighted to reunite, the queen welcomed her nephew, who'd hidden in books to escape court's stifling glare. Titus knew the queen summoned them to yank the clueless lore master from his lair and freshen him up. With the council assembled, the queen opened the session, flanked by envoys from the realm's major cities. She'd address the dungeon's recent unrest and chart the kingdom's next move. First up, the authority on the matter, Commander Titus. He warned that dungeon mana is surging at a dangerous pace. His scouts predict a wave will crash into the first stratum within 3-4 days. Guarding troops have also spotted a massive ant breaching near the surface, an alarming sign. The creature's rarity and dire implications have sent tension and fear soaring. The Legion mobilizes, pushing deeper to hunt and eradicate the ant colony before it spreads. Commander Titus formally petitioned the throne for reinforcements to scale the operation. He pleaded for aid to shield the city from the looming wave and free Legion forces to assault the creature's nest. Titus delivered his plea bluntly. Only a crushing silence answered. A moment later, snide chuckles and mocking whispers rippled through the chamber. Cutting through the sarcasm, the winking rogue from earlier rose to speak. The queen remained stone-cold, her gaze sharp as she yielded the floor to Corin. Corin declared that Lyria has thrived for a century under Queen Verita's enlightened lineage. Its people have known a rare peace, even after millennia since the Great Cataclysm. In this calm, the Deep Legion alone has overseen dungeon affairs. While vital to Lyria's economy, many view them as a greedy, overbearing power. Now, Titus and his legion beg for more aid, exposing their failure to protect the city despite already holding the lion's share of funds. The queen bristled at Corin's blunt accusation and demanded she get to the point. Corin, head of the mercenary union, again petitioned the throne for direct control over dungeon access. She promised to manage resources and police her own men more efficiently than the Legion, backed by the Merchants Guild. A Fishman Guild envoy projected that regulating dungeon exploitation could double kingdom profits in 2 years. Queen Verita cut her off, rejecting Corin's request for the umpteenth time, and chastised her for downplaying the ant threat, urging everyone to study history. She reminded them that the land was once owned by another kingdom, and she will not repeat those rulers' mistakes by underestimating the dungeon. The queen declared the dungeon isn't a mine but a menace, demanding utmost caution. Since the Deep Legion liberated the realm, Lyria will continue to trust them. Corin argued that future prosperity outweighs ancient history, insisting the dungeon deserves respect, not fear. Dismissing her baseless claims, Queen Verita backed Commander Titus, assigning royal guards to the Legion for the wave and reaffirming Lyria's faith in the Deep Legion. Titus replied confident the Deep Legion, Abyssai, will crush the wave and the Ant Hive. For 3 millennia across Pangera, one truth holds, they've mastered the job. No subterranean force rivals their might, until Anthony appears. Now, our hero works to finish his haul, cleaving the beast open. The gruesome guts nearly make him vomit. He swallows revulsion and forces himself to eat. Despite the foul scent, sight, and taste, he can't miss the chance for vital biomass. The first bites are a struggle. Centipede flesh barely slips down his throat. It's possibly the worst flavor he's ever tasted. His mind whispers that starving would be preferable to this torment. Guided by his past, he chose the centipede carcasses over certain starvation. He steeled his resolve and his stomach. Ignoring the repulsive flavor, he devoured like a beast. Lost in the frenzy, he finally hit the elusive biomass point he chased. Every creature yields a single biomass, so Anthony lingered, curious about the inedible remnants. Moments later, shells, claws, and feet glowed eerily, sending a chill down his spine. The remnants were being sucked straight into the earth. Thus the cavern network devours discarded monster parts everywhere. Why it does so remains a mystery. Each revelation spawns even more questions. Setting the cavern's riddles aside, Anthony zeroed in on his top priority. With 3 biomass and a lone skill point, he treated the upgrades like a high-stakes boardroom vote. He earmarked the biomass for a Vision 3 upgrade. His system desperately needed a software boost. His threat assessment tactics stay the same, so sharpening his sight is non-negotiable. Without blinking, he spent every ounce of biomass on the ocular enhancement. He braced himself, but nothing prepares you for the searing blaze of a Vision upgrade. Anthony writhed on the floor, the pain eclipsing his previous upgrade, purely inhumane. It felt like a swarm of enraged bees had declared his eyes the ultimate offense. The maddening itch drove him to tears. When the agony faded, the prompt to assign his lone skill point finally appeared. Enduring the worst pain yet, he mentally slammed the yes button. With stealth at level 5, a fresh upgrade appears. Level 5 skills can evolve, costing an extra skill point. Skipping his proven lifeline would be sheer folly. Advancing Stealth 1 to Advanced Stealth sharpens passive concealment and boosts still standing effectiveness. His status window sparked a tearful grin. He surged forward, ready to dominate the caves and force every creature to bow. Perhaps later, but now humility is his wiser path. Despite the upgrades, Anthony stays low, methodically scouting the depths. Facing the wrong foe alone, he'd be crushed without a chance. Advanced stealth fuels his confidence, urging him deeper into unknown shafts. He now treads the pheromone trails with newfound caution. At last, his curiosity may finally uncover what lurks below. Without his recent upgrades, he'd have avoided the crater, but now, emboldened, he inhales deeply and steels his resolve. Descending into darkness still unnerves him, yet it's a challenge he can conquer. Humans could never attempt this, so he leverages the ant's unique abilities. With eyes wide, he scrambles the crater's jagged walls, the first stretch shrouded in pitch black. Then, at a certain depth, a faint glow begins to emerge. The mysterious illumination intensifies ever so slightly the deeper he ventures. To his amazement, thriving plant life clings to the barren cavern walls. It defies logic. Sunlight never reaches here, so perhaps these flora tap magical veins for sustenance. For the first time, he spots true beauty in this desolate abyss. As he savors the blossoms, his antennae twitch at a new scent. Faint pheromone traces flare his hope. Perhaps his colony is close. He swells with pride for choosing the right, albeit terrifying, path. He imagines a legendary scout chasing raiders deep into the crater. He craves praise for his lone, daring survival since hatching. Lost in thought toward the scent, he reaches another junction. The shaft dead ends, birthing two tunnels. He won't rush blindly. Still shaken by the spider above, he fears even larger horrors below. He opts for the wider, safer opening, ready for a quick retreat. As he moved forward, his jaw hit the floor in awe. Before him stretched an impossible tableau of glowing trees, grass, mushrooms, and alien flora. He slipped through the bioluminescent woods, sheltering beneath radiant mushroom caps. Each luminous flower swayed in concert with the trembling blades. Anthony barked, "What the hell, Gandalf? A thriving oasis in a death trap? How could such a massive cavern exist, its far side hidden from view?" The ceiling alone seemed to tower some 60 meters overhead. Once the shock faded, a fresh dread rose. What horrors lurked beneath this wonder? If this abyss can nurture life, it surely teems with monsters. A sliver of optimism tightened his tiny ant heart. His colony could lie deep within this cavern, perhaps farther than he's ever gone, maybe along the scout's route. Exploring feels inevitable, yet the sheer scale dampens his spirit. The exotic field dazzles, but ignorance blinds him to its wonder. Could monsters here have grown colossal in this vast expanse? How much biomass might these creatures amass in such a thriving realm? Anthony banishes idle doubts, steels his resolve, and embraces optimism. Having scouted, he vows to master this strange realm and reunite with his colony. For now, he climbs back to level up, targeting untouched species for biomass. He rationalizes the retreat as smart, not cowardly. Master the known before diving into the luminous unknown. He pledges to level up and acquire mutations for the upcoming mystery. This mindset shift ignites his fire. After leaving the crater, he slipped back into the makeshift nest he'd been using for days. Time now presses him. If his theory is right, the main tunnel leads straight to the soldier's cavern. Once the troops descend and expand, Anthony's EXP and biomass hunts will disappear. He'd be forced to stalk the crater blind, with no intel. Weighing everything, he knows he must act fast, cast caution aside and take bold, swift moves. Without extra EXP and biomass for upgrades, a descent into the crater could spell instant death. He engaged stealth, hunting as if the clock were ticking down. To maximize rewards, he'll target species he's never eaten, securing Gandalf's bonus points. Taking on a lone giant croca beast is impossible. They're the apex predators here. The slimy slugs are his only realistic prey. He can't waste time studying them, so he'll improvise. Spotting the beast up close, Anthony saw a grotesque slug twice his size, a long, slick body crowned with jagged spines. It drips a thick mucus trail, likely secreted to lubricate its path and boost its speed. With little else to go on, Anthony decides to hit it with a surprise acid blast. From above, he fires a precise acid jet into the slug's tail. To his disappointment, the slug shrugs off the acid, sliding on obliviously. Its mucus shield neutralizes the acid, and any bite would likely trap his mandibles. That slime barrier is the perfect counter to his arsenal, disgusting and deadly. But Anthony still has an edge: human ingenuity. He recalls a simple trick even Earth ants use. He's used it before on spiderwebs, snatching a rock with his mandibles. He slipped behind the sluggish slug, unseen and ready to strike. Within range, he hurled a rock with full force, testing its reaction. As expected, the creature remained oblivious, showing no sign of noticing him. Reactivating stealth, he began flinging rocks from all directions at the slug. The barrage buried it in debris, soaking up its slime. After stacking enough stones to cripple its movement and drain the mucus, he waited for a response. Hovering directly above thanks to his advanced stealth, his outline turned ghost-like. The slime hissed as the white powder burned, melting its membrane. His risky tactic paid off, dealing solid damage despite looking odd. The sizzling, charred scent of the slug made him gag. Just as he expected an easy kill, the slime monster twisted, staring straight at him. Anthony ponders how these sluggish slugs thrive in the barren caves. No plants, so they must be hunters too. Fully primed for any threat, he sprinted away before the slug could notice him. The acid seared the slime's flesh, making the slug thrash and groan, searching for its attacker. Spotting movement, the once docile beast gaped, flashing fangs and emitting a blood-curdling roar. A projectile spewed from its maw, but Anthony was shielded by the rock he'd taken cover behind. The substance was a corrosive, sticky acid, capable of liquefying rock in an instant, far beyond his own output. Caught up in the slug's near-impermeable shield, he never imagined it could launch its own slime acid assault. There's no time for tears, ants don't even cry. He must commit and finish the slime beast. His acid reserves were dwindling. Normally he could fire 3 to 4 blasts, but regeneration timing remained unknown. Every shot drains his reserves, leaving the next reload uncertain. Melee is suicide. His mandibles would be crushed, so only his acid can deliver the killing strike. Anthony felt abandoned, forced to face a creature built to nullify his arsenal. His rush for power pushed him into this gamble. He now crawls from ceiling to wall, staying unseen. That timid tactic unexpectedly boosted his grip to level 4. Wall crawling finally pays off. The slug follows, scaling the rocks as its slime shield begins to regenerate. Combat imminent. It likely immobilizes prey with sticky acid, burns them, then lunges to devour. With speed on his side, Anthony devises a quick new tactic. He rises tall, exposing his rear to the slug. The slime beast craves a counter-strike. Anthony shook his rear like a dump truck, drawing the slug nearer. Even a 2-meter slug hesitated at an ant wiggling its butt, then snapped its jaws and spewed another burst of acid. That was Anthony's cue, a gaping maw perfect for his own acid blast. A critical hit forced the slug to swallow his poison, boosting the acid to level 4. The shot was flawless. Even Gandalf would nod. Mr. Slug foamed and convulsed under the deadly jet. Instantly, the slug lost its grip, crashing to the ground and shattering its spine. Wonder Ant's plan executed flawlessly. As the slug oozed vile slime, Anthony kept his distance, wary of missing the killing blow. He finally relaxed when the system logged a level 4 Alcyonium slug defeat and awarded EXP. The limp, 2-meter carcass resembled a mound of waste. The battle won, the hard work begins. He must devour the corpse to harvest its biomass. If ants could vomit, they'd be doing it now. He mutters that earthlings eat slugs daily. Biomass is biomass, however you get it. The slime still clings, but it ceased oozing when the creature breathed its last. He scoops dirt to soak up the slime and speed its drying. Swallowing dirt and slathering it onto the repulsive slime isn't a gourmet start. It feels like punishment. Yet he endures, driven by evolution and strength. After drying a solid chunk, Anthony takes a bite. The texture would deter even the boldest eaters, and the slime dressing doesn't help. Still, he powers through, sampling each mouthful to locate the most edible portion. Midway through the reluctant feast, his gut feels ready to burst. Fortunately, the system grants him the coral slug's biomass. He can't devour the rest now, but scarce nutrients force him to bury the leftovers for later. Time short, he must accelerate, even if it means taking risks. Boosting his acid gland and primary weapon to +2 is the smart play. Mr. Slug was a hefty prize, but Anthony still has the energy to scour the tunnels for fresh targets. Just beyond his kill zone, a familiar thorn lizard appears, sparking nostalgia for his first hunt. Prey number 2 is set. He can recycle parts of his original strategy for this strike. Wall terrain and acid alone should suffice. Setting a trap would waste precious time. A direct clash with acid and mandibles will test his current combat limits. With upgraded antennae and vision, nothing evades him. He spots the lizard resting against a rock. Anthony hovers unseen above. With only 1 or 2 acid blasts left, each must count. The unsuspecting lizard rests, letting Anthony slip within 5 meters silently, provided he moves with utmost patience. After the perilous slug showdown, Anthony now has the luxury to stack the odds in his favor. The unsuspecting thorn lizard remains oblivious to the rain of death looming overhead. Anthony unleashes an acid barrage, raining down like an airstrike onto the lizard's crown. It awakens, thrashing in searing agony. His most precise strike yet, a perfect bullseye that blinds the beast. The lizard scrambles wildly to shake off the acid, while Anthony retreats to dodge any stray sting. His mandibles, still rudimentary, are built for digging, not combat. Up close they look fierce, but flat inner teeth can't pierce or tear flesh. Other species, bull ants, trapjaw ants, sport razor-sharp, spring-loaded mandibles. Lacking such weaponry, Anthony's bites feel more like a squeeze than a shred. His bites barely dent the lizard, yet it's the perfect test of how many upgrades he needs. Quantity can offset his lacking quality. He straddles the lizard, unleashing a relentless bite assault on its neck. The lizard thrashes, but his grip holds firm. Each bite intensifies the agony, driving the beast mad. After a barrage of weak bites, the lizard finally collapses, unlocking bite skill level 4. The gamble pays off. He earns a massive upgrade. Anthony swells with pride, having felled the thorn lizard through sheer grit. Above ground, Commander Titus drowns in paperwork, scrambling to prep for the looming expedition. Silence is a rare luxury. The Queen's surprise deployment of royal guards proves a game-changing boon. His legionaries expected ordinary foot soldiers to fill the ranks, but they pale beside the elite, disciplined royal guards. Upon entering the dungeon, operations accelerated. Nothing quickens like the Queen's summons. Staring at his desk, Titus wondered if another vein of stonewood awaited deeper in the dungeon. Its dark, black grain is unmatched. As a youth he hauled a single slab to craft this very desk, and no material has ever rivaled it. Having built it himself, Titus concealed a secret switch that reveals a hidden compartment. Within lay vials of radiant blue liquid. He sighed, rolled back his sleeve, and revealed a strange tattoo. At first glance, it resembled a magical sigil etched onto his flesh. He seized a vial and poured its glow into the sigil's heart. The blue fluid ignited on contact, fusing with the tattoo in a luminous blaze. Titus clenched his jaw, the strange serum searing his throat. He stayed rooted at his desk, the vial emptied, pain raging through him. At last, the agony eased, as if time itself had stalled. He slipped the empty vial back into the hidden slot, half his stock gone, and sealed the compartment, restoring the desk to ordinary wood. With the boost complete, he turned back to his true battlefield, the dungeon. He seized a massive axe hanging neglected in his office, ready for a fresh edge. Every seasoned legionary knows a weapon must be battle-ready. In the depths of Newbie Cave, troops haul bound prisoners deeper underground. The once defeated level 3-5 Fire Mage and level 3-0 Ranger mutter in confusion, clueless about the prisoner's purpose. One certainty remains: none will surface alive. Ranger Mirren only knows the initiation ceremony lies far below. Veteran legionaries never reveal the induction secrets. The Deep Legion, a 3,000-year-old mystery, remains barely known despite saving civilization. Soon, Mirren will join their ranks, swearing to protect the Legion's secrets with her life. In Newbie Cave, Mirren and Fire Mage Donnellan are assigned to watch the dungeon mercenaries hunt. The clueless mercs stumble through danger zones, forgetting surface monsters differ from the dungeon's beasts. These overambitious mercs are a perpetual nuisance, overextending for XP while rescue teams constantly bail them out. They constantly bite off more than they can handle, never learning. Suddenly, a Legion tribune confronts Mirren and Donnellan, asking if they are ready for the expedition. Mirren replies respectfully, confirming their gear is checked and polished. But the tribune meant mental readiness. One slip here means game over. A successful descent guarantees promotion, a coveted honor, yet they must keep celebration from becoming a distraction. In a few hours they'll clear the highlands to erect a forward camp in the forest. Anthony's relentless hunt ended. Riskier battles, richer loot. He was forced to go all out, and it paid off. Eager to gauge his bounty, he opened the status screen. After swallowing a thorn lizard and the last coral slug, he earned 2 biomass points. Sated, he resumed hunting, spotting another lone coral slug and taking a tactical stance. He repeated his trick. The purple slug fell for his rage bait. When it gaped, spewing acid, Anthony blasted it with scorching slime. A mouthshot guarantees a crit, but his timing slipped. The monster's acid splash hit him back. The sticky blast seared him, slashing 10 HP. His back carapace and thorax melted, pushing him back into the red zone despite recent healing. Even a partial burn ate a third of his health. More coverage would have been fatal. He yearned to upgrade his carapace for sturdier defense, yet higher priority parts demanded attention. After a cautious war of attrition, he finally felled the purple coral slug. Eating the slug restored a solid chunk of HP, turning his bar green again. The repulsive feast left him feeling near perfect, like a flawless ant. His upgrade list shows several basic skills, but he can't ignore his deadliest weapon. Acid Shot evolves into improved Acid Shot, boosting accuracy and range. The extended range lets him land reliable shots from farther away. Upgrading is a no-brainer. It boosts his survivability and guarantees steady damage. Craving skill points, he stalked a lone wolf lizard, opening with his go-to stealth plus acid shot combo. That kill pushed many skills to level 4. He wishes he had enough points to max them all. Missing EXP would be disastrous. Now comes the tricky part, managing his limited biomass. He aims to boost his eyesight to level 4. Sharp vision lets him spot juicy, isolated prey among monsters. It also shields him from surprise attacks and blind spots. Losing that edge could land him in a deadly croak ambush. Or worse. While vision helps, farming more biomass demands a combat boost, going all in on Acid Shot. He'll end with 1 spare biomass point, perfect for upgrading legs, carapace, or mandibles, each enhancing his overall performance. A +1 leg upgrade spikes his mobility, ideal for scouting, retreats, chases, and combat, while mandible upgrades cost too much biomass for little payoff. His options, +4 eyes or +3 acid glands +1 leg. His cautious nature steers him toward the defensive route. A new zone looms, and every edge is vital for survival. After weighing the choices, Anthony spends 4 biomass to boost his eyes. The upgrade erupts in searing pain, his eyes burning like before. He scrambles, clawing at his eyes as they stretch and the carapace reshapes around them. He begs the heavens for relief. Mutations are powerful, but the agony feels divine. At last the blaze fades, and his vision sharpens dramatically. His peripheral sight widens dramatically. Not flawless, but this Anthony far outpaces the clueless rookie Reborn in Pangera. He can almost feel it. Reuniting with the colony is just around the corner. Now, he pushes to harvest EXP and biomass at maximum efficiency. He tracks fresh prey, each kill spilling extra biomass. Fully rested, he eyes a blade-tailed rat, though singling one out won't be easy. En route to the main tunnel, his antennae sense distant tremors. Another monster clash, ripe for loot. Fueled by optimism, he charges toward the uproar. Days after the Crocus Centipede War, Anthony spots 4 familiar foes battling 3 wolves. The fight erupts, bloodied and brutal. The wolves, outnumbered, fight with savage ferocity. Hidden above, an invisible young ant lies in wait, ready to rain sticky venom. He slips back, securing a better angle. Prime time to unleash his newly honed skills. After minutes of stalemate, both factions scattered, eyeing each other from afar. A single misstep could reignite the clash in an instant. Fury burned hot on both sides, yet caution held them back. Anthony must tip the scales by taking his shot. His acid blast struck the centipedes, old foes deserving a fiery lesson. The hounds instantly seized the gap his spray created. One lunged at the wounded, isolated centipede, ignoring its feeble threats. The centipede retaliated with its own acid spray, throwing the hound off balance. Neither side granted the other a moment's respite. The centipede's sneak attack was crushed by the hound's spiked tail. From his perfect perch, Anthony gaped at the brutal clash unfolding. He pictured himself in the fray. One strike from that tail would flatten him like a pancake. The thought terrified him, but the reality was even harsher. The wounded centipede crumbled under the hound's relentless claws, never to crawl again. The wolf wore a smug grin, as if a tiny bug dared challenge a hound's glory. Before the tail could deliver the final blow, fate intervened. Anthony unleashed a torrent of acid, searing the hound's fur and flesh. He chuckled from the shadows. Honor aside, he had to stop the wolf's triumph. One acid blast won't fell a massive hound, just as it won't kill a centipede. With the centipede gone, the war between the two titans teeters on a razor-thin edge. The insects hesitated after losing their edge, while the hounds, fueled by fresh momentum, pressed on. Anthony humbled the lead hound with a scorching acid blast, showcasing his upgraded artillery. The blast sent the hounds sprawling, thrashing and howling in agony. Seizing the opening, the centipedes lunged at the wounded dog. Their claws clamped down, immobilizing the beast and silencing its fangs. Their elongated bodies coiled, crushing the snarling opponent. Every frantic thrash only deepened the bleeding claw's grip. Their venomous stings drenched him in lethal poison. Seeing a sliver of opportunity, Anthony left the ceiling for the outskirts. One hound writhed in a lethal choke, the others vanished. The bloodshed never pauses. While everyone focused on finishing foes, Anthony slipped to the half-dead centipede, snapping it with his mandibles for the kill. He unleashed a level 4 mandible strike, tearing flesh in a single bite as blood sprayed. The final blow earned extra EXP, letting him haul the carcass away. The clash he's been shaping now reaches its climax. The crawlers zeroed in on the hound. The 3 surviving centipedes fight desperately, flinging poisoned spikes to repel the hounds. Even poisoned, a hound's spiked tail remains a force not to be ignored. He swatted the insects, sending them smashing into cavern walls, shattering legs and claws, leaving them stunned. Both sides bleed heavily, barely standing, circling for a weak opening. Like a sudden gunshot, the two monsters surged, grappling and coiling around each other. From the shadows, Anthony watches. This feels like a kaiju showdown. At the fight's climax, both the centipede and the hound collapsed simultaneously, utterly spent. Exhausted, the two beasts hit the ground, down for the count. Anthony strode through the blood-soaked battlefield, the wounded creatures barely clinging to life. A grim fate for them, but a holiday for our cunning ant boy. He patted himself, relishing how his mandibles made monsters dance like a maestro conducting a symphony. Those barely alive foes became a goldmine of EXP and biomass. The Lupus Draco pups, LV-34, and Claw centipedes, LV-23, poured in EXP, blasting his bar past the cap and unlocking evolution. The system ping sang in his ears as he dropped to his knees, whispering a prayer to Gandalf. With the final blows landed, he tore into the carcasses, gulping the juicy biomass while a growing roar echoed, urging him to feast harder. A chilling dread tells him that the ominous sound is heading straight for him. Biting into the Lupus Draco cub, newly unlocked in his roster, fed him bonus biomass. Grown, they become terrifying wolf dragons. He'd love to linger another hour, maybe 10 minutes, but the marching thuds grew louder. He thought about ordering takeout, yet he'd already eaten enough to fill a wolf dragon, his stomach about to burst. Then a flash of his aunt's research back home came to mind. Some ants actually have 2 stomachs. Scouts and workers don't always haul prey back to the colony. They often fill their social stomach on the spot. Later they regurgitate the stored food for the nest. It's gross, but brutally efficient. Certain workers balloon into living storage tanks, swelling absurdly to feed the hive. With his personal belly bursting, Anthony taps his social stomach for extra capacity. He drowns out the marching drums, diving into a second binge to rack up biomass. The fallen centipedes and hounds are swallowed whole. Their flesh and organs are shredded by his mandibles. Lost in the feast, Anthony snaps back as lantern flames creep toward him. He bolts, Getting caught would nullify every hard-won gain. The mountain of meat in his gut drags him down, slowing his flight. Reaching the wall's edge, he claws upward, muscles screaming, despite the mounting strain. He refuses to glance back. Though soldiers tear the carcasses apart, the nest is only 10 meters away. He must make it. Human silhouettes emerged below his perch. Their presence forced more monsters from their lairs, but human coordination dwarfed even the apex claw centipedes and wolf dragons. Blades, magic, and arrows outclassed raw savagery as Anthony slipped into stealth, hoisting his massive bulk up the wall. Spells crackled, arrows whistled, and swords sang throughout the cavern. It turned into a one-sided slaughter. Luckily, Anthony slipped into his tunnel unseen. Unable to use the main exit, he was forced to flee through the dirt wall. He pre-planned this escape, but his swollen belly now clogged the narrow opening. He strained to pull free, stuck like a misfit in a washing machine. Exhausted, he finally ripped through the gap, crashing face first onto the ground. Time to burn that biomass and race down the crater. Spending 4 biomass, he boosted his acid glands to +3 and his legs to +1. The acid gland upgrade burned like hell, worse than his vision upgrade, but he couldn't afford to pause. He'd rather not tumble to his death after hitting the crater. His extra bulk demanded solid footing. Hopefully his leg upgrade could bear it. The dark crater's descent was treacherous, with near misses as his grip and new legs fought the wall. Mid-descent, a massive explosion rattled the dungeon, hurling debris down. The humans must have blown a dirt wall, meaning they've passed his nest and are closing in on the crater. Urgently, Anthony threw caution aside and darted straight down. Lingering near the blasts would be fatal. The humans will soon descend, and he has time for only one crucial move. He finally hit the bottom, exhausted but unscathed. He opened the system and entered the evolution menu. The system congratulated him and offered a choice: remain a mature worker ant or condense his monster core and evolve anew. Choose a mature worker ant for stat boosts and a linear skill tree, or condense the monster core to unlock MP and custom evolutions. Remaining a worker gives the biggest immediate survival boost, but a monster core opens a realm of magic. Enamored with the latter, he seized the riskier path without hesitation. Anthony blacked out, the duration unknown. He strained to pry his eyes open. The first sensation was a searing heat pulsing in his thorax. It was his freshly formed monster core igniting. He staggered to his feet, drained by the evolution, knowing he couldn't linger. Soldiers still prowled above, and humans could soon drop into the crater. He had to move. On the run, he flicked open his status screen to check the changes. His level plummeted, and his stats suffered a massive downgrade. He cursed the system for slamming him back to level 1. All his hunting and hard-earned experience vanished in an instant. Every lucky break he'd forged was erased. Surviving this far was no small feat. The reset feels anything but fair. Yet a closer glance at his status revealed a silver lining. The MP slot jumped from 0 to 10. He was right. The monster core is the key to unlocking magic for a creature like him. No wonder the upstairs monsters swarmed the mana-rich pool. They treat it as a neutral haven, drinking its water to fuel their cores. Though he shortcut the core's formation, the massive stat loss for those 10 MP means he still can't sting. To make matters worse, he now has to press deeper into even deadlier zones. Those lost stats would have been crucial for his survival. He tried to use MP to shift a few loose leaves. Nothing moved, and a wrong move could leave him clueless. Yet the lure of magic was irresistible. He must live with his choice. Maybe this path finally lets him confront the monsters he's always fled. Being deemed unevolved again means he'll level up and earn skill points at lightning speed. He skips the skills menu, refusing to tempt fate with mana shaping or spell chance. Now he dives into the vast, uncharted underground floor. The ceiling looms, about 60 to 70 meters high. He won't climb that far. One slip means certain death, and even his +4 vision can't see the distant walls. As an insect, he has compound eyes, not human-like ones. Consequently, his sight lacks a single focal point. Humans focus sharply on a single point, but compound eyes scan multiple directions, though fuzzier. Remembering that, he felt justified in boosting his vision to +5. Perhaps Gandalf will reveal what happens when his mutations go berserk. Yet the deity seems deaf to his pleas, answered only by silence. Gandalf's only response feels like a shrug. Some guidance would help in this strange land. The landscape before him resembled an alien world, confirming he's truly elsewhere. Anthony's curiosity ignited, and he roamed the grasslands unchecked. He chased every oddity like a child chasing fireflies. Spotting a mushroom, he lunged to take a bite. He spat it out instantly, the mushroom's bite draining his HP. The wound leaked a corrosive, acidic sap. If a mushroom can hurt him, what other perils hide here? He swore never to touch, or bite, anything unfamiliar in this realm. He must leave the crater before soldiers arrive, then dig a hidden retreat. He wondered what other creatures lurked in the depths. Anthony jinxed his luck by dwelling on that thought. From the ceiling, winged bird monsters swooped down, rattling their feathers. Their target, the clawed centipedes on the ground, tough up top, but just food down here. Anthony watched his future foe get snatched like a gummy worm. He ducked beneath the mushroom caps, realizing his confidence had tipped into recklessness. Armed with upgraded skills and a compact monster core, he imagined himself untouchable in this alien realm. But the reality hit hard. If a massive centipede falls so easily, a tiny ant like him sits at the very bottom of the food chain. The true, evolved predators of this cavern clearly dwell here. It's brutal. Without a colony, he has no safety net. Had he forced evolution into a 3-meter-tall worker ant, he'd be a powerhouse. But he must live with his current form. He knew the denizens here were stronger, a price he paid for taking the grueling monster core route. Still, stealth and heightened senses gave him a fighting chance. Cloaked in invisibility, he surveyed the bizarre, thriving fungi and trees. Like the strange flowers before, these trees thrive without sunlight, sprouting fleshy leaves. Until he's sure they aren't ant traps, he keeps his distance. When a distant disturbance shatters his aimless wanderings, he no longer hides beneath mushrooms. Now he hunts for intel. He prowls low, panther-like, through the alien forest. Eyes and antennae lock on the source of the disturbance. With stealth active, he hits the EXP cap and levels up. It took ages to unlock this tier. Advanced skills demand heavy use. Perfect timing. He finally discovers his target. Ahead lies a crippled crocobeast, its wound draining its power, still unevolved. Up close, Anthony's fear spikes. This is the very monster that devoured an ant when he first reincarnated. A nightmare-worthy first sight. If ants dream, this reptile haunts his sleep. He stayed on track, noting the crocobeast scarred from fierce combat. With the arena empty and the beast weakening, this could be a heaven-sent chance. He shakes off fear and grabs the untapped biomass. Anthony leaps boldly from the foliage. Mid-air, he twists and locks onto his target. He fires a powerful acid blast straight into the gash, exploiting the weak spot. The crocobeast roars as the acid sears the wound, burning its innards. Infuriated, the crocobeast snarls at the tiny ant, daring its weakness. Undeterred, Anthony unleashes a second stream of acid. He forces the beast to swallow the acid, corroding its mouth, tongue, and throat. If the beasts keep opening their jaws, his acid blast could become his signature. Anthony's mouth shot. He quickly realized the name sounded questionable. The wounded croc thrashes wildly, growling in agony. Today the croc meets its worst fate, surviving a battle only to be mocked by a tiny ant. Anthony expected 2 blasts to finish it, but the beast proved tougher. The croc drops to all fours, lunging after him like a maddened predator. The frantic chase is brutal. Anthony can't match its speed. Closing in, the croc slashes with a razor claw. Anthony barely evades with a clumsy leap. A hit would have meant instant blackout. Keeping his cool, Anthony makes a final stand against his nightmare. With his back already turned, he fires another acid blast. But the croc anticipates his attack, dodging the acid effortlessly. Despite its brute appearance, the croc proves cunning as it keeps the chase. It lashes out relentlessly, each claw swipe a hair's breadth from fatal. He can't gamble on a 5-0-5-0 left-right chance forever. He chooses to charge straight at the reptile rather than flee. A claw slices an antenna clean off. The blow nauseates him, yet retreat isn't an option. He doubles down. Desperate, he clamps his mandibles onto the croc's left leg, shaking its balance. The bite rockets his skill to level 5, unlocking the crushing bite upgrade for 1 skill point. He seized the moment, mentally hitting confirm, and daring the croc to retreat before committing his final gamble. The first fire bite barely scratched the scales. The second bit down with a deafening crunch. He siphoned the reptile's chilling blood. Anthony clung on, only to be slammed hard by the croc's tail. He collided with a jagged rock, the blow wrenching his very spirit from his body.